Congressman Eli Crane and Governor Tim Walz didn't just clash today. They collided in a way that exposed something much bigger than a heated hearing. It revealed a deep, widening divide in America that no one in Washington seems willing to fix. And what happened in that room didn't just spark outrage. It peeled back every layer of a political game that millions of Americans are sick of watching. If you think you've seen tough questioning before, what Crane unleashed on Walz makes all of it look like warm-ups. Because the moment Crane called him out, directly, bluntly, unapologetically, the entire tone of the hearing shifted.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Governor Walz, you stated in your opening statement the following: but nothing Minnesota has done stands in the way of federal government managing its border security policy.
Okay.
Governor, I want to ask you, why are you lying to this committee?
I am not
Who's the top law enforcement officer in the state of Minnesota?
the top law enforcement officer. Attorney General.
Yeah, that's right. What's his name? What's his name?
Are you asking me, do you know his name?
Do you know his name? Do you know his name?
I know the AG Ellison.
This is an article right here I'd like to submit for the record. Minnesota AG says will not enforce federal immigration laws as DOJ threatens to prosecute officials who resist.
Without objection, so ordered.
Why are you lying to this committee? That is the top law enforcement officer in your state who's saying he will not comply with the federal government.
Nothing in his opinion changes the fact that state law requires all state and county officials to ask for immigration status when a convicted felon is
No,
committed.
I'm sorry, Governor. He is saying he will not comply with federal laws. That's your top law
Nothing in this
enforcement
opinion
officer.
changes how
You're
he-
lying and misrepresenting yourself to this committee. Now I want to ask you this. Do you think in that line of questioning, free health care, food assistance, free college tuition, driver's licenses, and cash assistance, do you think that that's helping or hurting this government manage its border security and policies?
Well, Minnesota ranks first in health care. We rank third in
Let
safety on our roads.
me answer that for you. It's actually hurting because what
It's
you've
making my state
created
safer
is
and more
you've created a
prosperous.
state that is now a magnet that is
There's
drawing
no law.
illegals
There is no sanctuary
to
law in
Minnesota.
Minnesota, Congressman.
I know you guys haven't put it that way on the books, but your state has everything, every element in it that is consistent with the sanctuary state.
That's
Moving
incorrect.
on, Mr. Walz. How about you calling ICE agents modern-day Gestapo? That also stands. Do you think that that helps our federal government carry out its law enforcement?
I think best
border
practices in law
security
enforcement by
policies?
identifying who you are, identifying the vehicles, and making sure everyone has due process helps our law enforcement. I think covering your faces.
So you think that
rolling in there-
you think that that helps calling our law enforcement agents that, what does ICE stand for, Governor? Immigration, Custom, Enforcement, right? These are the guys that are tasked with enforcing immigration, federal
That's right,
immigration laws?
federal, that's their job. It's
So
not
you
the
think that
state's job.
calling them Gestapo is helping? You're not standing in the way. None of the messaging, none of the rhetoric is standing in the way of this administration doing what they've been tasked to do. Is that what you're saying?
I think what would help them is to follow due process, and when they do these missions, do the things that we expect of law enforcement.
How about when you
Identify
went on
yourself.
Anderson Cooper, Governor Walz, and you said, how high is this wall? If it's 25 feet, then I'll invest in a 30-foot ladder factory. Do you think that that helps our federal government carry out its law enforcement, its border security and policy operations?
When did I say that?
You went on Anderson Cooper and said that.
I-
Do you not remember saying that?
I-
Because you've said so many outlandish things that you
I
can't
don't
even keep
recall.
track of them?
The point being is.
The
that you
clip
need
is there
more
for
information.
everybody. It's there for all Americans. If you guys want to go watch it, it's an easy Google. All right, Governor, you recently went on Gavin Newsom's podcast. You stated in regards to MAGA voters, I scare them a little bit, which is why they spend so much time on me. No, I'm serious because they know I can fix a truck. That's your direct quote. You also said on the show, I think I could kick most of their asses. I want to be very clear with you, Governor. You do scare us a bit, but it's not because you can fix a truck or change a tire. It's actually because of your radical left-wing agenda. You supported putting tampons in boys' bathrooms. You advocated for the disarming of Americans of their Second Amendment rights. You're pro-sanctuary city, as we have uncovered here today. You claim there is no guarantee to free speech when it comes to misinformation and hate speech. That right there is why the American people have such a hard time with you. It's not because we're crazy MAGA people. It's because of your radical left-wing agenda. I want to ask you on that last one where you claim there's no guarantee to free speech. Did you pick that up on one of your 30 trips to communist China, Governor? That sounds a lot like something that they would do. Yes or no?
So I don't believe hate speech has
Okay.
a place in there. Hate speech that incites violence.
Governor Walz, you said that Kamala Harris picked you for vice president to code talk to white guys. How did that work out for this administration? How well did you do with white guys?
I don't have the
You
data.
lost by 22 points to white guys. And it's because you talk like the way you do, you say the things you do, and you have this radical left-wing ideology. So if you want to continue that rhetoric, go on, brother. Keep doing it. We'll keep destroying you in elections.
And the
Thank
people
you, and
of
I
Minnes-
yield back.
The people of Minnesota will continue to have me serve them.
Chair recognizes Mr. Ramirez.
And it only got more explosive from there. Crane looks Walz dead in the eye and asks a question so sharp it could have cut through steel. Why are you lying to this committee? Right out of the gate. No warm-up, no polite setup, just a direct accusation that hit the room like a thunderclap. Walz tries to shake it off, but the moment he hesitates, just for half a second, you can feel the tension tighten around everyone watching. Because Crane wasn't just asking about policy. He was asking about trust, honesty, and the way leadership chooses to portray reality when the cameras are rolling. And Walz didn't have a clean way out. Crane pushes harder. Who's the top law enforcement officer in Minnesota? Walz gives the textbook answer, the Attorney General. Crane nods, waiting for him to say the name. Walz stumbles. And that stumble was all Crane needed. Because the Minnesota Attorney General has already gone on record saying he will not enforce federal immigration laws. He openly said it. He stated outright he wouldn't comply. And yet Walz sat in that chair claiming Minnesota doesn't stand in the way of federal immigration enforcement. That's when Crane hits him again. Hard. Why are you lying to this committee? You can feel the air get thin as he lays out the article, the quotes, the evidence. Walz tries to clarify, tries to soften the language, tries to say the state's laws still require corrections officers to ask for status when dealing with convicted felons. But that wasn't the point, and everyone knew it. Because the Attorney General's open refusal wasn't a footnote, it was the headline. Crane wasn't letting him wriggle away from it. Not that day, not in that room. And that's where the conversation took a sharp turn, because Crane wasn't just focused on legal definitions. He shifted to reality. Minnesota offers free health care, food assistance, cash aid, college tuition, and driver's licenses to non-citizens. Critics call that a magnet. Supporters call it compassion. But Crane wasn't asking which word you prefer. He was asking whether Walz understood the impact. Whether he saw how offering every possible benefit, with no enforcement of federal immigration law, sends a message louder than any press conference. Walz tries to pivot toward rankings. Minnesota ranks first in healthcare, third in something else. Numbers, charts, pride points. But Crane cuts straight through it. It's hurting, he says, not whispering it, not suggesting it, but declaring it. And millions of Americans watching agreed instantly, because facts aren't hard to find. When a state offers every benefit imaginable, people notice. When its Attorney General refuses federal cooperation, people notice. And when the governor insists none of this stands in the way of border security, people notice that too. But the moment that truly shook the room came next. Crane brings up something Walz probably hoped everyone had forgotten. The time he compared ICE agents to the Gestapo. That wasn't a joke, wasn't a slip, wasn't taken out of context. It was a statement he made publicly. And whether you're left, right, or somewhere in the middle, comparing U.S. law enforcement officers to a historical organization infamous for brutality is not minor rhetoric. It's dangerous. And Crane's question was simple. Does calling the men and women enforcing immigration laws modern-day Gestapo help the federal government carry out its responsibilities? Walz tries to shift again. He says best practices matter. Transparency matters. Identifying yourself matters. He talks about covering faces and due process. But he isn't answering the question. He's walking around it. Crane presses harder. ICE stands for Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Their entire job is federal immigration enforcement. It's right there in the name. And yet Walz's rhetoric portrayed them as villains, monsters, something dark and oppressive. Crane forces him to confront it, not in a speech, not on a podcast where no one pushes back, but in a setting where every word counts. Then comes the infamous latter line. Walz once joked on Anderson Cooper's show that if the wall was 25 feet tall, he'd invest in a 30-foot ladder factory. Maybe he thought it was clever. Maybe he thought it was funny. But humor has consequences when you're a governor of a major state. Because people look at comments like that and wonder, is this serious leadership? Is this the mindset guiding policy decisions? Or is this a politician more interested in making sound bites for applause? Crane didn't ask politely. He didn't ease into it. He threw it right in Walz's face. Do you think that helps the federal government do its job? And again, Walz hesitates. He tries to remember if he said it. He tries to downplay it. But the clip is real. It's out there. Anyone can find it. And when you can't even keep track of your own sound bites, it becomes harder to defend your record with confidence. Crane keeps coming. He brings up Walz's recent appearance on Gavin Newsom's podcast, where Walz claimed MAGA voters are scared of him because he can fix a truck. And then, the part that set the internet on fire. I think I could kick most of their asses. A sitting governor said that. Not behind closed doors. Not in private. But proudly. Into a microphone. Knowing millions could hear it. It was the kind of rhetoric that might get cheers from a small base, but alienates the broader public instantly. Crane looks at him and says the quiet part out loud. You don't scare us because you can fix a truck. You scare us because of your ideology. And then he lists it. Policies on gender identity in school bathrooms that sparked nationwide debates. His approach to limiting certain forms of speech. His stance on the Second Amendment. And each point hits harder than the last. Not because they're exaggerated, but because they resonate with concerns thousands of people express daily. Then comes the China question. Walz traveled there around 30 times. That fact alone isn't inherently damning. But when paired with his comments on limiting speech, critics and commentators online started pushing speculation, rumors suggesting ideological influence. Crane doesn't state it as fact. He doesn't make a legal claim. He simply asks the question that countless Americans have asked themselves. Did you pick up those ideas on one of your trips to China? It's sharp. It's pointed. And it cuts into a deeper debate about where certain political ideas originate. Walz denies it, of course. But denial doesn't erase public skepticism, especially in an era where people see connections everywhere. Crane ends with the numbers. Walz said he was chosen to help connect with white working-class voters. But statistically, he lost them overwhelmingly. Crane points out the margin. 22 points. That's not a small gap. That's a landslide. And instead of taking responsibility, Walz tries to brush it aside. But the numbers don't lie. And Crane wasn't going to let him pretend they do. The exchange ends in a way that says everything. Crane tells Walz that if he wants to keep talking like this, keep pushing these policies, keep dismissing the concerns of millions of Americans, conservatives will keep defeating him in elections. Walz responds with a line about the people of Minnesota still supporting him, but the damage was already done. Because nothing Walz said in that hearing changed the reality Crane exposed. A growing disconnect between government officials and the people they represent. But that wasn't the end of the story. After the hearing, commentary poured in from every corner. Analysts said the confrontation crystallized something essential. This wasn't just about immigration or rhetoric. It was about two competing visions of America. One that believes security, law enforcement, and national integrity matter, and another that has increasingly leaned into ideological experiments that millions of working-class Americans no longer feel connected to. And that's why the clip exploded online. People weren't sharing it because of the shouting. They were sharing it because they recognized the frustration in Crane's voice, the exhaustion, the disbelief, the sense that leadership isn't listening. People saw themselves in that exchange, not because they agreed with everything, but because they felt the emotion behind it. You can support Walz. You can support Crane. You can land anywhere on the political map. But the reason this moment went viral is simple. Americans are tired. Tired of leaders avoiding plain questions. Tired of dodging. Tired of being told their concerns are exaggerated. Tired of being labeled extremists for wanting safety, order, and consistency. And tired of watching elected officials pretend everything is fine while ordinary people deal with the consequences. What this hearing revealed, more than any headline, more than any soundbite, is that America's divide isn't just political. It's personal. It's cultural. It's about trust. It's about whether leaders speak plainly or hide behind talking points. And it's about whether someone is willing to say, without apology, that something isn't working. So here's the real question. Does this country want leadership that confronts hard truths, or leadership that makes clever remarks on late-night shows? Do we want policies that prioritize communities that work hard and follow the law, or policies that reward those who don't? This hearing forced everyone listening to decide for themselves. Because the moment Crane called out Walz, the entire debate crystallized into one unmistakable point. The American people aren't buying excuses anymore. You watched the clash. You saw the truth buried between the lines. And now I want to hear from you. Do you think Crane exposed the real issue, or do you believe Walz is being misunderstood? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit like if you made it this far. Share this with someone who needs to hear it, and make sure you subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. We've got a lot more to break down, and I'll be right here calling it like I see it, whether the political class likes it or not.